guys, Brett here, connecting from UbiCentral, and yesterday we got some brand new gameplay of Watch Dogs 2. This is actually coming from YouTube Gaming's Primetime stream, which is every Thursday, and it's hosted by Geoff Keighley. In this specific case, he's talking with Jonathan Morin and Pierre Savard, and I thought this gameplay was interesting as you see more of Noodle's headquarters, as well as some good open world gameplay. Anyways, I'm gonna stop talking now. I hope you all enjoy this video, and I'll see you all later.
That's Watch Dogs 2, and right now I'm joined by Jonathan and Pierre from Ubisoft Montreal. Thanks so much for coming down, guys. I know you're in the throes of finishing up the game, but we really appreciate you making the trip to show off some brand new stuff on Watch Dogs 2. As I mentioned, set in San Francisco, moving from Chicago. So tell us, the first game, tons of attention was first announced at E3. People were very curious about it. This hacking mechanic felt like something new and different. You got another crack at it here with Watch Dogs 2. What was the most important thing for you guys to sort of change or improve for the sequel?
I think the main thing that we wanted to do is we knew that a lot of people liked the hacking in the first game, but we wanted to give a lot more depth to it. So something that would let players being a lot more creative. In the end, a hacker is someone who can think outside the box and do magic with something because he's not prisoner of preconceived rules. And we want players to feel like that mechanically and make sure we build a world in which everything is analog, every tool you have is analog, so you can start having ideas, combine them with each other, and share them with other players afterwards.
Yeah, no, it looks absolutely incredible that you guys are back in San Francisco. Love the city, and you've got Silicon Valley here. So we've got some new gameplay on PlayStation 4. Tell us, where are we in the world right now?
Right now we're in the Silicon Valley area. We're at Noodle, which is one of our big corporations of tech. This one focused a lot on gathering data and all of that stuff.
Right.
And we wanted for Silicon Valley to bring that fun vibe where, like every company seems to build like a place where everybody would love to work in, to have this real fun approach to it. And speaking of fun, is we want to push that into the simulation. So for example, right now, like Pierre is pointing at different people, and that little line is pretty much the targeting system for hacking. And this time around, when you lock into people, on the bottom right, you see the different options you have. It's no longer just one thing. So you could call the cops on them, distract them, turn people into a target from different factions in the cities. Or you can go a bit more subtle and start messing around with emotes and interact with them in more funny ways.
Fuck you want?
Now, yeah, hacking obviously was a big part of the first game, although people wanted it to sort of be more pervasive. And it feels like, based on what you're showing here, it's like, can you literally sort of try and hack almost anyone or anything?
You can literally hack everyone around you. You can hack every car around you. And when you start interacting with people, then they're going to start reacting to you.
Right.
And based on their personality, they can get angry, scared, and that can pretty much get you surprised by stuff, and you can start learning about how people react in the world and start using that to your own advantage, for example.
And how does that tie back into sort of the storyline or the gameplay? So are you ever sort of hacking into people, and that is, is that affecting sort of the mission or the progress, or how does that play?
Every mission is based, it's mostly DedSec operations. So you're a DedSec hacker, and you approach different stories differently. Each of them will have a focus on certain thematics of hacking narratively that we have in the game. And every time you do a mission, you can mess around with the systems the way you want. Like right now, Pierre is messing around with the robots, dancing with it, doing funny stuff. It could be just funny, easygoing things, but if you have a guard nearby, you might want to check out what the hell is going on, and suddenly this little funny thing becomes something you can do to mess around with the system. Or of course you can go a lot more berserk into the way you play things out. So it's all about the personality of the player, whether they want to be more violent or they can finish the entire game without ever aiming any sorts of gun, even the taser one, if they want to.
So it is sort of, it has those kind of multiple playthrough styles where you can be more stealthy
definitely.
or more action focused?
It's all about letting the player doing what he wants. We have 3 play style. There's one we name the aggressor, which is more obviously about gutting everybody or using explosive. But even in that one, hacking is going to help you be more help you perform against your enemies. You can go Ghost, which is more about stealth and not getting detected using Marcus. Or you can go Trickster, which is all about making an entire mission or all the missions without ever setting foot in the layout, being more of a hacker, if you want.
All right. Well, now we're in the vehicle, in the car, or whatever that is, the mini Jeep that we are, or Mini Cooper, whatever it is, that we're driving around. Obviously, this is an open world game. That's something that people love. This genre, the idea of a rich, dense world where there's lots of options of things you can do. So tell us, what are we able to do now that we're sort of
well, we've shown that we're able to hack everybody in the world, but we can also mess around with every car around you. So even when you're driving, we wanted to make sure the hacking would still be there just to mess around with the system. So it helps you drive faster, things like that. We entirely remade the driving model in order to make it more accessible for players. And on top of it, driving fast in San Francisco with all the steeps and everything that's going on top of hacking everything, it had to be more easy in order to pull that off.
Just put the ramp down, you can drive right up.
Yeah.
All right.
Nice one.
So really, it feels like it's this meta game over top where it lets you sort of,
correct.
augment and change.
It's definitely making sure that even when you're crossing the streets on foot or driving from point A to point B, you still get invited to mess around with the dynamics of the game, because the more the player does it, the better you can understand the synergies between the different tools, and that's what we want players to do in the end, like to mess around with the systems better.
All right. So, in terms of missions and objectives sort of in the world, and I don't know where this, where we're sort of seeing gameplay, if this is early or late in the game, but what are some of the kind of fun missions or objectives that we can go on now that we're sort of...
Well, there's certainly, when you're driving in the world this time around, everything is kind of hidden at the beginning of the game.
Okay.
So if you go into places, you can notice certain things or use your net hack to spot like a certain point of interest. And as you do so, it's going to help you unlock what we call operations. So everything is based on a context this time around, so you can have small operations to dig into the subject matters of hacking or learn a bit more about the different aspects of San Francisco, like gentrification and stuff like that. We have a lot of those little stories, but more importantly, by doing those discoveries, you can also find protected area. Like for example, on the little map there, there's a little red spot. That means there are people protecting something. And if that happens, then there's certainly something worthwhile to look at. Most of the time, you're going to end up finding either money or different kind of research point that helps you progress and unlock new skills in the game.
Okay, so we're obviously furly hacking in here, and the goal here is sort of to get in. Oh, we got our drone there. That's nice.
Now, like we've seen these little green things there that's going on. Like that's one of the research points we need to unlock certain skills. So PY can just basically scout the area with the flying drone remotely, tag everybody, understand what the threat is, and of course you can do many different types of traps to hack his people around. One of the handy stuff we can do is use the 2 different drones to mess around with people. The flying one is a lot more about scouting and understanding the space or using hacking through that drone. And the one that we call the jumper is more the trolling type of guy. Like he can go around, insult people, get AI pissed off, and then like,
oh my God.
That's the inefficient way of doing it, but that doesn't matter. And if it gets blown up, then you just have to go with something else. Like maybe, for example, I don't know what he's going to do. Let's let him improvise a little bit and see what's going on. So one of the things you can do is, like this one is call a hit on someone. We have different factions in the game. So dynamically, depending on who that person is, we're going to call an enemy gang, and they're going to show up just to deal with these guys. And we never know what's going to happen when they're doing that. All of this is completely unscripted and systemic, so we don't know what's going to happen. Now they show up, it starts a fight, you can leverage that, mess around with what they bring. Let's see what's going to happen.
Oh, wow, okay. Wrecking havoc from above.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the kind of game we want. Like we want, even when you're finished playing and you walk around in the street, have those little ideas like, right, like, wait a minute, I can throw something up, it sticks to everything. I can control cars. Oh wait, I can stick something to my car, my drone, and then turn it into a proximity bomb and fly it to someone. And then you go back to the game, you try it, and it works. And that's the kind of creativity we want.
There's definitely, a lot of experimentation.
Yes, exactly.
To go through.
And of course, since there's a seamless online and stuff like that, then you can witness other people doing stuff on the fly, and that's part of the surprises, and then you can continue understanding the games a bit better.
All right, well, a very populated world with lots of tricks to it, I'm sure, fun to explore. Looks really cool, and we are only, what is it, like 3 weeks away or something like that?
Yeah, that's pretty much like almost 3 weeks, like November 15th. So like doing that, like the game is pretty much ready.
Okay.
Like just fine tuning and little things like that, and we're pretty much done.
All right, well, I know it's a big release for Ubisoft, and we appreciate you guys coming down from Montreal to showcase it to us. I know next week there'll be a bunch of previews online, so we'll be able to read more about it. Thank you so much for making the trip, guys, and we've got lots more.